physician, heal thyself. And that's not a slap to doctors either. It's what it means is that Jesus is right with you. Isn't that what he said? I and my Father are one, even as you as I are one. Well, if that's the physician who's with you, I think he can handle it, don't you?
I do, and I know that he can handle it. And no matter how big we think the problem is, we have to point it back to the great physician who can heal all of our sorrows, all of our griefs. Would you agree?
That's right. Look, what you feel about yourself, if you're down, you're only going to go down further if you keep feeling, thinking what you're thinking that got you there in the first place. Change your mind, change your world. The first one, change your mind, does. The second one changes your world. So you're in control, even if you're out of control. Take control. Isn't that what it is, taking control?
It is taking control. Just that, you said something. You said, if you're down, if you're not mindful, the only way that you can do is go down further, if we're not mindful. And what we're to do with someone that's down, first you meet them where they're at. You don't sit there and give them all kind of balloons and parades while they're down, but you meet them where they're at, and then you encourage and build them up. Would you agree?
Yes, that's it. And there are times when just leave people alone.
True.
They'll figure out what they're doing themselves. Much better if you're not interfering with their thinking. That is, if they are thinking. And you can tell if they're really thinking clear or if they're just the mindless walking. And that's, it's really difficult to judge what other people are doing, really, because you really don't know what they're thinking and feeling unless you can really read their experiencing very clearly. And then that would be judging too much if you thought about it. But so the idea is that if they ask you for help, you get it. If they don't, then you let them alone, right?
I so agree with that. You made me think about the young man that I talked to earlier through the Facebook group, but also Freedom Berry. He encountered a man, and the man said, can you give me a few dollars? And Freedom told him, no, I don't have a few dollars to give you. But like Peter, he says, silver and gold I have not, but what I have in the name of Christ, that's what I give to you. So Freedom saw the man in a better condition. The young man that I was speaking about earlier saw the people that he encountered in a better position. And you're right. Sometimes people don't want to be encouraged. They don't want you giving them all these affirmations and so forth. They don't want to hear it because they can't receive it at that moment. But you can see them in your imagination in a better light. Would you agree?
Yes. And also the fact is that rather they believe it or not, rather even consider it or not, once they have heard it, it is recorded in their recorder in their mind. So it's there and it's doing its work, whether they're aware of it or not. But the work would be much, much faster, much, much smoother if they would feel after it for themselves rather than just listening to self-talk. Now, self-talk generally is variable, but first person present tense experience is what you are given, and you will, or actually you are anyway, but you're just not recognizing it because God's the same for everyone. God's no respecter of persons, and so who you are doesn't really matter. He loves you, but we love him because he first loved us. And remember that, and you will love him too, right?
That's so true. And that's also the key as we interact with people that seem to be unlovable. When we begin loving them, all of a sudden, they're not going to know why, but they're going to begin, in many cases, being transformed in loving us.
A smile does the same thing, doesn't it?
It does. And it's funny that you say that. I was at a store, Walmart, and I was walking out, and a lady complimented a young man on his haircut. And she continued to walk, and he said, "Thank you very much." And as I passed by her, I said, "Isn't it funny that a compliment doesn't cost anything?" She said, "It sure doesn't."
I like that. That's good. It doesn't. It doesn't. That's what I mean, man. Just a smile, and then the other one will crack a smile, and that's it. That's the meeting. But you see, if you don't have that, how many people you pass on the street and just look at their expressions? They're not really enjoying life as they should be, because, hey, if you're really enjoying life, you got a smile on your face naturally. You don't, those smiles you get when you go, yeah. But you're always thinking ahead of your evidence. Just remember that. You're always thinking ahead of your evidence. And I repeat that and I repeat that, but you don't really realize it until you actually see that you're making a case for or you're making a case against. And if you can do those, then you have choice. And if you have choice, you can choose better than the best you have so far. But you have to show up to do so, right?
You do. And you said, just put a smile on your face. Even if at the moment you may not feel like smiling, what we've discovered, what science has discovered, even in just placing that smile on your face changes the dynamics of what's going on within you. Would you agree?
Well, of course it has to, because you don't see your smile unless you're looking in the mirror. So it's what you intend. That's what really happens. It's what you really intend. That'll happen. But the only thing you have to do is really intend to do it. Do a thing, and you shall have the power. It doesn't say a little power. It says the power. Because there is only one. Everything else is a derivative. It's like tributaries to a river, as the river is to the oceans. Come on. It's always within you, as you think you are. So if as you think you are, then it would be wise to see what it is you're thinking, would it not?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I say that with enthusiasm, because most of us are not aware that as we think we are, and we think that we can let thinking go on autopilot and not reap the results. Would you agree?
That's right. And if you are reaping results, that's what you've been doing. So look, you're in charge of you. Take charge of you, of your thinking. That's all you're here to do. All you're here to do is to direct your thinking, because as you think, you are. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. And so is she. Because it's man, male, female. So everybody is included. Every child born of woman is included. I don't care what it is you think you belong to is going to save you. It's you, yourself, realizing what you're being told is that you're the children of God. And God don't make mistakes. So if there's a mistake made, then we've made it. Because we've just denied ourselves something that caused the mistake. So you're always on. That's something you want to remember. You see, you're not just praying when you're kneeling down in church. You're praying ceaselessly. Is that right?
That's absolutely right. I love that you hadn't made up a word, ceases, double cease, but it's absolutely correct. And the thing is, if we get that, and we're not saying that the prayer is good, bad, or indifferent, but whatever it is that you're giving your attention to is the prayer.
That's it. That's it. What has your attention has your life. And whatever you give life to, you experience one way or the other. There's always trade-offs. There's always ramifications of your thinking feelingly, because feeling is the secret. Feeling is the secret of being, I am that. And if you'll do this consistently, persistently in your own imagination, in the theater of your own mind, you'll see that everything is automatic. And it is automatic. It says, if you turn to me, I'll turn to you. And that answers all your questions. Right at that time, you're being answered any question you have. Are you not?
You are. And it's funny that you say that. I was coaching someone recently, and they were saying that everyone in their household was taking advantage of them. I said, stop that. Because what he didn't realize was that he was the catalyst that was causing everybody in his household to take advantage of him. Would you agree?
Yeah, that's right. It can't happen unless you agree with it. And you may have agreed with it 10 months ago, and today is the day it's happening. But you see, the thing of it is that we're all conditioned, we're all mesmerized, we're all hypnotized in varying degrees of intensity and intent. And it is for us to, in our own mind, decide this is good or this is not good, and then follow our own heart for what we are to do and be and have. It's all right with you. You already have it all. All you have to do is recognize it. I am with you always. I will never leave you. Omnipresence is with you now, right here, right now, this day. And it's always this day. And this hour, and it's always this hour. And it is the hour of desired change. Do you know what you want? Do you really know what you want? What is a great desire for you? I'd say that's the question, isn't it?
That is the question, and I just want to kind of pause on what was said. You said you already have it all in your own mind. And your question was, do you know what you want?
Yep.
People hear these talks and they don't realize that we've given them the key to their own salvation. Most people hear these talks and it's a great talk, but they really don't hear what's being said. They can choose at any given moment who they're going to be. Would you agree?
That's it. This day. That's the only time you can do anything is this day. You can believe or not believe this day, because it is always this day. It's not a yesterday. It's not a tomorrow. It's this day. You're here now. You're thinking feelingly. You are alive. Live. Live freely. Don't let what's going on around you decide for you when you're able to do so for yourself. And actually, it isn't even able. It's natural for you to do so until you're disjointed by somebody else's idea. And that can happen very, very simply without announcement. In other words, you don't even know it happened. But you can actually accept another person's idea because you're not doing anything else. You're the guy says, well, I didn't think this, and look what happened to me. Well, then you should have been the one thinking, right?
I agree. You often say it. You say, either you're creating it or someone else is creating it for you.
That's it.
When we choose not to think for ourselves, we open up the door to the thoughts of everyone else around us.
Absolutely. You make yourself vulnerable, right?
You do.
Yes. Yeah, really. You make yourself, you say, why me? Why this? Why now? Well, stop making yourself vulnerable and you won't be asking that question, right?
It goes back to what you said a moment ago. Who do you want to be?
Be it. That's my answer. Be it. Right here, right now. Be it. Because it has to start somewhere, doesn't it?
It does. The problem is most people don't think that it's that simple. For example, somebody says, I want to be a millionaire. They like the ideal of being a millionaire, but they don't want to become a millionaire and everything that comes along with being a millionaire. Being a millionaire, it takes work to manage that money, as Neville has said in one of his talks. He said, I don't want to be rich because I don't want to have to manage that portion of my life. Many people like the ideal of being in a successful relationship, having more money, being in better health, but they don't want to take the practical application. Would you agree?
Yeah, you have to have the basics, right?
Yes.
That's it. You have to have the basics. And that's all we're talking about is the basic idea that as you think, you are. Is that right?
That's exactly right.
Okay, well then if as you think you are, then you're in control. All you have to do is be a better director.
I agree. And the thing is, what we have to understand is it doesn't happen immediately in most cases. You didn't get in the situation that you find yourself in with just one or two thoughts. It took a process or a series of thinking. Now, to get out of it, it takes likewise. Would you agree?
Well, yes, unless, because if you're wholehearted, that's the thing itself. You can turn to it in a moment.
Agree.
If you really desire to know first person, you can turn right around because God already gave you an invitation, didn't he?
He did.
Well, there you are. You've got an invitation to turn around. So just you turn to me, I'll turn to you. If God turns to you, what would be your problem? But I'm sure you could think of one, though.
And we do. You're right about the change can happen in a moment. Life and circumstances around us may not all be transformed in that moment, but you're a different person. Would you agree?
That's right. That's first person. That's what that should have your focus, first person. Because look at it this way. If you can't help yourself, how can you help somebody else?
You can't.
So you get yourself straight. And then everybody will love you because they have no reason not to. If you love them, they'll love you. We love him because he first loved us. Come on. It's a very simple solution to all of your problems. All you have to do is just love them.
It's true. And I was speaking with someone recently, and they were saying, besides they wanted to, of course, me to greet you on their behalf, but beyond that, they were saying that when they begin practicing these principles, and they heard the principles first in a book by The Science of Getting Rich by a gentleman by the name of Wallace D. Wattles. And they said when they begin practicing the principles and he realized that there was no competition for his business exploded. When we change our thinking, when we take on a new concept, when we begin to apply that concept into our lives, change is going to take place.
What has your attention has your life. Success is waiting. All you have to do is give attention to it. You are successful. Hey, wow, you are successful. If you just go back in memory of all the things you've been through, and here you are, and you have a choice. You still have a choice. And that's the whole thing. Everybody has a choice. You see, if you die a ding-dong, you get to play ding-dong again. And again, and again. That's the hell of it. But if you change your mind, you change your world, and there's nothing transforming in death. So whatever you're thinking feelingly about in your own heart goes with you. Always goes with you. Change your mind, change your world. Always goes with you. You're doing so right here, right now. Change your mind, change your world. For the better, I hope. Don't you?
I do. And it's funny that you spoke about if you're ding dong here, you die ding dong. And somebody had recently inquired, they're like, how many rotations do I have to go through? I said, the truth of the matter is, this could be the last one for you. I said, it really depends upon the individual. I said, so whatever you're going through now, this could be the catalyst that you take that final step into your final manifestation of who it is that you're to become. I said, but nobody can tell anyone else how many rotations or how many times they have to be a ding dong. Each person has to decide for themselves. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you see there, right there, you said agree. A lot of people say they agree with, but then they don't do. So do they really believe that they agree with? I think that's the question, isn't it?
It is the question, because what we know is that if you truly believe what it is that you say that you believe, whatever that is, I'm not judging, whatever it is that you say that you believe, you begin living it out. Would you agree?
That's it. You are living it right now. And if you don't change it, it stays the same. You have to change your mind or your world don't change. And if you say, well, look what's happening to me. No, you look what's happening to you, because you created what's happening to you through your creative choosing, because you were given choose this day, and this is the result. If you don't like it, change it, wouldn't you say?
And I love what you just said. And it goes back to what you said a moment ago. You're living out whatever it is that you say that you believe. Let me go back even a step. It really doesn't even matter what you say you believe. What you're living out is what you believe.
That's it. What you are speaks so loud, I can't hear what you're saying.
It's still true today. That's one of those old sayings, one of those old parables, but it's still true today.
Of course it is, because we're still the same. Well, it's really one thing to think about, and that is a good place to start. I agree with that, thinking about. But if you think about long enough, consistently, persistently as you can, suddenly you'll be thinking from. And that's when your world starts changing, moment by moment, if you're really excited. And keep yourself excited, right? Because otherwise you kind of wind down. And when you do that, you forget. And that's what I did time after time after time. Oh, yes, I was really breathing deep. And then I thought, wow, that's really great. But did I follow through? See, that's the essence of it, is following through. Knowing about it is one thing. I got by with that for many years, knowing about it. But it's knowing from your ideal, not about it. That's the difference that makes the difference. And you are in charge and you are in control if you decide you're in control, and do so consistently, persistently as you can. Look, I know you're not paying attention all the time. I'm more than aware of that. But the thing of it is that you do set aside time to be still and know that I am God with you always, will never leave you. Isn't that enough? Isn't that enough?
It is. It is. It is. And you were talking about, you said you would get into the silence and you would think from, and you'll breathe deeply, but you said you didn't follow through. And that's so many of us. We can clothe ourselves in any state that we desire, whether it be one of poverty or abundance, love or hate, whatever state, health or illness, we can clothe ourselves in any state. The challenge is following through and making that state a permanent state. Would you agree?
Well, absolutely. Hey, ask any golfer. The idea is to follow through. and that's how they get the points, because they followed through. See, finish it. That's it. You're at the final image. Be in that image. See yourself at the successful feeling after end of a thing. You are now it. I am that. I may not have physical evidence at the moment, but I am that in my mind. And in my mind is where I am accepting the world or rejecting the world. In mind, it's all on automatic. You are a thinking, feeling being. Thinking, feeling, what is the question, isn't it?
It is. It is. You know, and you spoke about the golfer, and something dawned on me: the basketball player, the football player, any sports, whether it be a gymnast, swimming, whatever, final stroke, the basketball, there's that follow through with your hand when you're shooting the basket. It's funny how in reality we've been given spiritual principles. And so the whole point is to say you're absolutely correct about the follow through.
Yeah. It's you come awake every now and then. The idea is to stay awake a while, wouldn't you say?
I would say just that, you know, and that's the key. And initially, you know, what it reminds me of in the Christian experience, you know, you somebody introduces you to Jesus, you have this religious experience, and at first, even though you've had the experience, you really don't feel like you've changed. It's like going to a Anthony Robbins firewalking ceremony. You know, initially when you're walking over the hot coals, you're like, okay, I just made it over. And you really don't experience the change at that moment. But when you begin processing it and you begin living it out and you begin taking on that new identity, pretty soon it's who you are. Would you agree?
Yeah, that's it. You have to hold in mind what you wish to be. It has to be first, present attention. You are doing so, but about what? You see, what you're experiencing at the moment is a sort of a summation of what you believe, because you're always thinking ahead of your evidence with that belief. What are you believing? What are you experiencing is what you were believing, because you're always doing as you have experienced in mind first. The whole world is a self-pushed out. This is a virtual reality. It isn't reality. Scripture calls it shadow world. And that's what it is. It's only a shadow of reality. And you're to feel the reality of it, because it is with you. All you have to do is feel after it, and you'll find it, because what you're looking for is looking for you. So you can't not find it. See, you will find it. You will have the power. Understand, I'm not talking about some power. I'm talking about the power, because there is only one power, and that's what we're all experiencing, but at a very low level. And it's self in self, and risen is the drama man. Are you rising? That's what you want to ask yourself. And if you are, fine, follow through. I mean, that's the whole idea, isn't it?
It is. So as we're winding down, that was very powerful.
Sometimes you got to shut out the world. And one of the tools that we offer in doing that is Mr. Lindell's 4 CD set. You can get those as a digital download, or you can get those as a physical copy if you're here in the U.S. Go to Metaphysical Art Theater and order your 4 CD set. These CDs are meditative in nature. You're to listen to them and get the words that's being spoken in your spirit until they become your words. And as that takes place, you'll begin to see your world transform.
As we're winding down, there's only God. What would you say to the listener?
There's only God. That's the truth. And if you start right there, everything else just falls into place. But that's where your believing really counts, because it is you. Feel after him as him, and you'll find him. That's what I have to say about it.
Well, sir, like always, it's been a pleasure. I enjoyed the conversation, and I know that the listeners will take a lot from it, so we appreciate you.
Talk to you later.
Talk to you later, sir.